Scaling info products has really become, well, easy. That's if you know what I know. And not only has it become easy to make a boatload of money, it's become so by doing no work. It's currently November 25th, and so far I've generated $41,951 in the month of November, and that's all monthly recurring revenue. So not only did I do that in a couple of weeks before Black Friday, but I did so without generating any of the leads myself, closing any of the leads myself, or doing any fulfillment myself. And that's because of one thing: leadership. Last video I talked about leverage, but in this video I'm going to talk about the 3 biggest principles that I use to help me make money basically on autopilot. Before we get into things though, make sure to drop a sub because I'm going to be posting a boatload more content talking about how I do business, kind of just documenting my journey throughout the whole thing. I also got some trips planned. I ended up canceling Hawaii just because Black Friday, too much going on. But yeah, there's going to be so much coming down the pipeline with me heading to Minnesota, New York, Miami. It's going to be a fun little ride. So if you want to stay along and if you want to follow along during that, make sure to drop a sub. This video is going to be pretty raw, so it might be a little longer, but just bear with me because I'm going to have a fun little bonus at the end for y'all. Okay, so I mentioned 3 principles. The first principle that I kind of follow when it comes to leading my team and being able to generate this cash flow basically on autopilot is never ask or tell someone to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. So here's an example. Let's say that you hire somebody to close calls for you. Make sure that they understand that you are not asking them to do something that you are not willing to do. So essentially just kind of show some sort of method that you are hiring them because it is in their best interest, not just in your best interest. Everybody knows that you're hiring because you need someone for that position, but you still want to keep the frame of, hey, I'm the one who's going to be controlling this. How do you do that? Well, maybe you can showcase your expertise in training. As you're going through training, we're going to talk about the first 48 hours because that is the most important for the people that you bring on your team as well as your clients. But maybe as you're going through training, give feedback based off of your experience, or as you are giving them feedback after they've been with you for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, give feedback based off of your experience and show that you are on their team. This obviously goes hand in hand with giving them like tips and tricks along the way. Show that you are there, show that you are with them and sitting on the same side of the table. How you go about this is really up to you. Everything is situation dependent. Obviously, you know your offer better than anyone. So make sure that you are an expert with your offer. I'll use a bit of an example kind of in practice. I'll use the restaurant because in case you don't know, I used to run a restaurant. Now I'm sitting here. So let's say one of the cooks drops some produce or drops some sauce, something like that. I don't know. Rather than looking at them and being like, hey, you should clean that up, go and actually do it. Be the first one there. Instantly go be proactive about it. Now I'm going to talk about this part a little more later, but as you're doing it, don't say a word. Just do it. Get it done. Now, this does a couple things for you. First off, it shows that you are willing to do everything that you're asking them to do, even though you have a full plate. Everybody knows that if you're in charge, you have more on your plate than them. That's no secret. It also just shows that you care about the person, right? Rather than scolding them and telling them to clean it up, you are actually going and being proactive and you're saying, hey, let's do this together. Once again, sit on the same side of the table. Now, this is a bit of a looser one, but it also shows that they are not beneath you and you don't view them as such. In fact, one of the things that I do is I actually call the people that I work with partners, whether they are actually partners or not, whether they're actually bought into the company or not. If they are working for me, they are partners because they need to understand they are part of a team and they are playing for something greater than themselves. And showing care to your team is kind of a life hack. And surprise, if you want your team to care about you, here's a bit of a secret. I think this is the Layla Hermosi special. Actually care about them. Second principle is never cut corners. Show people that you are not only willing, but able to do everything that they can at the highest level faster without cutting corners. And here's the most important part about this, so listen the fuck up. When you have these superhero moments, you'll probably be looking for some sort of acknowledgement. Well, that's not actually how it works. When you do things, say nothing, don't tell anyone, and don't brag about it. Shocker, this is called leading by example. And everyone sucks at this because it's hard. You need to be disciplined. You need to do a lot of things perfectly without recognition, but honestly, if you're an entrepreneur, you kind of already know what that's like. I'll use a real life example here. So let's say that you have a closer. This will be a little more applicable to people kind of in the info space. Let's say you have a closer. He's not following procedure. Maybe he's not inputting data the right way, or maybe he's not following the script, whatever. I will go and close as many people as I can the right way for about a week. And the most important part about that, in terms of timeline, it doesn't really matter, just enough to kind of get your point across. But the most important part is that I'm following the systems that I laid out for him as a leader. Now, one of two things will happen from here. One, you'll realize that your system sucks, in which case, go fix it. Or two, you will do phenomenally. While doing so, I will outwork them, outperform them, and complain them. Yeah, that makes sense. Once again, if I do amazing, I will tell nobody. I will not brag about it. I will do nothing. If you do this enough, your team will see it. Once they see it, they'll respect your opinion when you give them feedback, or you challenge them on something, or even when you have to lay down the law. For those of you who want another visual, here is a restaurant example. Let's say that you need to cut a bunch of produce at a specific size. Now, I actually know exactly what this is like because this is a situation that I've pulled from my life. Let's say it usually takes 4 hours. If you want to see what's taking so long, then just go do it. So in this case, I'm just going to go do it. I'm going to do it faster. I'm going to do it more precise. And I'm going to do it while working cleaner than everyone around me. Then guess what? I say nothing. I tell nobody. I do absolutely nothing. I just do the work. No bragging, no nothing. Now, what does all this actually do for you? Like, why do you not talk about it? Why do you not bring it up? Well, let me ask you this. Let's say that you were the closer from the first example. If you're working on a commission basis and you see that I'm closing twice the amount and working half the amount of time, do you think that that closer would listen to me if I said, hey, I looked at what you've been doing and I think I might have a way that you can make more money while working less. Can I run you through it? What person is going to say no? Not only would they probably say yes, but they would probably also feel stupid saying no. As Alex Hormozy's book says, make offers so good people feel stupid saying no. The same principle applies if you're bringing people onto your team. Like the exact same principle. I gotta put this fucking book back. Does that look good? I don't know. I think that looks good now. Yeah, okay, sick. The third principle I already kind of alluded to, but have your feedback be framed as advice to help them, not make their life harder. It's the exact same thing as making people an offer they feel stupid saying no to, except you've just flipped it around. Let me explain that a little bit. If you are a business, if you're a business starting, you are looking to have people pay you in exchange for your time. If you are hiring someone, you are trying to get people to exchange their time for your money. Knowing this logic, why would we not use the same principles and make them an offer that they feel stupid saying no to? Now, most of you watching are probably in the info space, so let me actually talk about what this looks like in practice. If you have a DM closer and he's not staying organized with labeling the leads, rather than saying, hey, DM closer first name, I noticed that we're not tracking our leads. I need you to do that. Hey, DM closer first name. I noticed that you're having some trouble tracking your leads. This is something that we have to do. So can I show you a way that we could potentially do this faster and easier while also being able to save you time at the end of the day for your reporting? All I did was show him that I acknowledge him for being a killer, but also mentioned that he's struggling to keep up. And keep in mind, this is from a standard. It is a standard to keep yourself organized. It is a standard to have your labels. At least that's what I have as a standard in my business. And then after I've acknowledged that, I just showed him that I have a way that he can do more faster and easier while making more money. Once again, who's going to say no to that? Here's another example. If you have a client success manager who's not responding to client support tickets, first off, if the standard is that low and they're still making mistakes, odds are that you were the problem and you didn't set that standard well enough in training, so look at yourself first. However, if that's not the case, here's what you can do. Once again, rather than saying, hey, client success manager first name, I noticed that you're not helping out our member. You could say something like this. Hey, client success manager first name, I noticed that you're struggling to keep up with the demand behind the support tickets. Can I run you through a system that I use to get through 30 support tickets an hour and potentially save you some time? Like, fuck, you should be getting the point by now. One thing that I didn't talk about here is knowing the difference between poor job performance and failure to meet job expectations. I'll save that for another video. But I did kind of mention a bonus principle at the beginning here, and honestly, this kind of goes hand in hand with all three of these points. When you are in training and onboarding, make sure to set a very clear standard in addition to your other standards, but make sure it is very clear that feedback is a two-way street. They can't read your mind on how you want them to be doing the job better, and you can't read their mind on how to lead them better. So obviously you would want to make sure that the door is open for that so that you can give your partners a better experience and get them to be producing more inputs. And here's a secret with this. When they give you feedback, because if you open the door, they will actually listen. It's there to help you. And nobody says that you have to implement it, but you do always have to listen to it. Because if you don't listen to it and you take the, oh, I know better approach, what it comes across as to your team is that you're being dismissive of them. When in reality, more often than not, you actually don't know better. And the people in the weeds, in the trenches, are the ones that know better and might know a better system to execute. At the end of the day, you and your team are sitting on the same side of the table, and you just want to make sure that they understand that and that they see that you give a shit about them. I'll be going into this a lot more on my newsletter, which is free, by the way. The link is below. I don't sell anything. The newsletter is mainly just to document my journey and just kind of work on my copywriting skills. I really just hopefully teach a thing or two to people who are actually selling info products or who are wanting to scale their info products. That's it. I know that this is just kind of me rambling. There's not a lot of edits. It's quite raw. Sometimes it can be tough to watch. So if you guys have any feedback on it, make sure to let me know. Hopefully you guys got some value out of it. If you did get some value on it, make sure to subscribe, drop a like. I'm going to be posting a bunch more stuff like this in the future, as well as give a lot more in-depth breakdowns on my newsletter. And that's why it's there. Sweet. Until next time.